I've eliminated sugar from my diet completely. I haven't eaten any sugar for over a year now. And in addition to this, I'm in the process of cutting out wheats and rice and dairy from my diet. And the reason I'm doing this is because I found that it's making me feel good. As in, on this diet, on the way that I'm eating now, I just feel better. But let's break it down here and talk about the why I'm doing this diet and also the pitfalls of some of the fad diets you'll see online. Sugar itself, no matter where you get it from, has a way of spiking and dropping your moods. Okay, so you consume sugar, you get this burst of energy, you go up and then you go down. And typically when you go down, you crave more sugar. So sugars occur naturally in the food you eat. But given our modern society and how good sugar tastes, we have this propensity to add it to everything. So if you start looking at your food labels and you see that it's got 4 grams of added sugar, that's about 1 teaspoon. So if you look on there and you go, okay, this has got 12 grams of added sugar, you've got about 3 teaspoons of sugar in whatever you're consuming. Obviously, this is not natural. We didn't evolve to eat this much sugar straight up. Why do we crave it? Why do we just gorge on it? Because it makes us feel good. Because in the wild, when we were evolving, we saw a fruit tree and we just had to eat it all because that's all that we had access to. So it makes sense why we crave it. So why did I cut it? Well, I cut it for multiple reasons. The main one was the mood drop. It put me up and then it put me down. Now that I've cut sugar from my diet, I can sort of feel when I accidentally consume it. So if I eat something that has a high level of sugar in it by accident, I notice the feeling of it. Do you know if you drink some alcohol and you can sort of feel that sort of slight tipsiness? Sugar has a similar feel. And I didn't even notice this until I'd cut it from my diet. So now what happens is if I accidentally have something with sugar in there, like from a restaurant or something like that, I will feel a bit dull. I'll feel a bit mentally flat. My mood will spike and then it will drop. I notice this and I'm like, oh. And the same thing's true for if I have had foods that are high in like wheat, like pasta or bread, or even rice, and sometimes potatoes. Those sort of foods, those simple carbs, basically are turned to sugar in your belly almost instantly. So they spike and drop you. So going down that path, I've also cut out all forms of wheat and rice from my diet as well. I feel so much better doing this. And I feel like this approach to dieting is far more natural based on how we've evolved. The problem with this is getting into it. I've shared this concept of what I'm doing with people and they're like, I'm going to do it too. And I'm yet to see someone that's able to just pick it up like that. And the reason being is it's hard to make these changes. It took me years to be able to cut sugar from my diet, literally. So over the course of maybe 2 to 3 years, I was slowly cutting down the amount of sugar I was eating. I was eating smaller portions. I was having sugar-free days. I was finding substitutes until eventually I was able to cut it. But I did try to cut it instantly, initially, I couldn't do it. I would crave, I would fall into old patterns, I wouldn't know the foods to eat. So there's all of these reasons why I couldn't do it. I would go out to dinner and people would offer me food and I'll be like, oh yeah. I didn't have the mental ability to say no. I was still in those habits and I didn't know the alternatives. So it takes a long time. So if you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I want to do that, be aware that it is a slow process, and I strongly recommend that you take it step by step until you feel comfortable. And when you do decide to quit, when you stuff up, which most of you will, I stuffed up many times, when you break, when you eat that cake, when you have the chocolate that you shouldn't have, that's fine. It doesn't mean this is all over. It means that you will get back on board and you'll start it again. It's like trying to quit anything. If you're quitting smoking and then one day is really stressful and you have a smoke, does that mean you just give up on your quitting? Or does it mean that you had a little hiccup and you get back to it? That's the approach I take. So now that I quit sugar for a year and a half or whatever it is, I'm now going, okay, I'm going to quit the rice and the wheat and those sort of simple carbs. And it's just another boost to my mental state. I feel stronger physically. I feel healthier. I feel more energetic. I haven't done the tests, but I would imagine that my testosterone levels have spiked. Why? Because I'm not weighing myself down with carbs. There's this concept of people fasting to get an insight into their mental state. And I can attest to that. If you do intermittent fasting, as in don't eat for a certain period of time and then eat in a small window, you feel a bit more mentally sharp. And the same thing if you cut food for a day or two. I'm not recommending this, but if you do, at the start, you'll start feeling a bit more mentally sharp because you're not weighed down by those carbs. When you eat, you're telling your brain, okay, we're safe now. And that spike of carbs to the drop, it's like, okay, we're safe because you're eating. If you weren't eating, you wouldn't be safe, right? If you think about it back on the evolutionary side of things, if you've got the time and the safety to eat, you're safe. Like that's just because you're actually taking that time. If you're not safe, you'd be running, you'd be using your body, you wouldn't be consuming. So your brain and your body naturally switches off when you consume those carbs. So back to the diet and what I'm feeling, now that I've cut the heavy amount of carbs from my diet, cut the wheat, cut the rice, cut the sugar, I'm noticing that my brain is feeling a lot sharper. I'm noticing that my mental state is more consistent, along with my energy levels. So I will strongly suggest you start giving that a try. I'm not doing a paleo diet, I'm just going, what makes my body personally feel good? I eat a lot of meat, I eat a lot of berries, and I'll eat a lot of greens. So my diet is sort of half meat, and I sort of get mainly my carbs from the veggies and that sort of stuff. I'll have some sweet potato sometimes, some regular potato less times, and that's it. I intermittently fast until 12, so I won't eat any food until 12 o'clock and then before bed. So I'm usually sort of eating from between 12 midday to 9 p.m. I eat in that window, and that also helps me to not just snack on stuff over time. I found that when I started this process, all of the snacking foods that I used to snack on, high in carbs, made from wheat, don't eat them anymore. This has given me the benefit of feeling good about the food I'm eating. It's making me appreciate the food I'm eating far more. Just a warning. I'm sharing this with you, but the proviso with this is that it's something that works for me. It may not work for you. Feel what works for your body and go down that path. There's a real risk of seeing a new fad diet online and going, I'm going to do that. Typically, if the diet is new and fashionable or has like some weirdo name, it's probably pretty bad for you. Any sort of detox diets are shocking. If you can only have juice or some like very small amount of things, you're literally putting yourself into starvation mode. You want to aim, if you're going for weight loss, between 0.2 to 0.5 kilos per week max. Any more and you're basically starving yourself. Now you'll lose weight in the interim, but you're going to feel terrible. And then when you stop, which you inevitably will because you can't keep on that process forever, your body will go, oh my God, we're finally not starving, and it will pack the weight back on because it's no longer in a starvation mode. It's doing that to keep you alive because it thinks if you're starving yourself, your body doesn't know that we're in an abundant society, that food's readily available from a shopping center just down the road. It's just tracking the fact that you're not eating anything anymore. It thinks you're going through a famine. So what does it do? It deals, and then when you finally do start eating, which you will, it packs it back on to protect you from the next famine because it thinks you are in a famine-prone environment. So what I would suggest is if the diet suggests that you're going to lose heaps of weight quickly, it's bullshit. You're going to put it back on. Secondly, if it talks about limiting everything down to one sort of item of thing, like a detox, what are you detoxing? Where's the science in that? Yes, you'll lose weight, but you're going to lose weight because you're starving yourself. You want to maintain a diet that's going to be able to be maintained for 6 months, a year, 5 years. Look at the diet that you're thinking about doing and go, can I do this for 5 years? Every day, can I have the lemon juice? No, so it's bullshit, and it will not work, and it'll make you sick. You'll get the small weight loss at the start, and that's why everyone feels great, but it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to maintain. And on the topic of juice itself, fruit juice, is not healthy. Why? When you consume fruit, you're getting the fiber from the fruit. So the sugars in the fruit are sort of broken down and used in the body differently because of the fiber present in the fruit. But if you juice the fruit, you're only getting the sugars and a little bit of nutrients. So you're consuming that, you're basically drinking the equivalent of the same amount of sugar that's in a Coke or another soft drink. It's not healthy for you. And the way you think about it is this. When you see, like, say, an apple juice, it's like the juice of 10 apples, and you can just scull it. Could you sit there and physically eat 10 apples? Probably not. because you're getting all of the fiber and it's filling you up. The juice won't. You're just getting all of that sugar. So I strongly suggest you cut the sugars from your diet, cut the juice from your diet, and if you want to have those fruit-based things, use it as a smoothie in the sense that it's blended, it's the whole food. If you get a smoothie that's a fruit smoothie where they've just blended the banana, blended the apple, and not juiced it, you're actually getting all of the fiber as well. So that's a fine alternative. Final thing what I want to leave you with is, I saw a thing that was saying that if you have a can of soft drink every day, you're going to be gaining 6 kilos per year. That to me is shocking. Cut the soft drink from your diet. You won't get spiked and chopped and you'll lose weight. Now, this isn't a looks thing. Looks for me are a side benefit. If you're losing weight and that makes you look better, great. It's a health benefit, both mentally, the spike and drop, and also physically. The more weight you carry, the more fat you carry from adding sugar, the less healthy you are. There's no ifs and buts about this. The more weight you carry, particularly the inner carrying it inside you on your organs and all of that sort of stuff, it's just not good and it will lead to long-term health consequences. So I strongly suggest you consider your diet, make slow changes, leaning towards cutting sugar and then potentially the other things from it. And if you want any specific tips, if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. I'm going to put a link to a chapter from my book, How to Get Your Shit Together, and this one will be on Find Your Ideal Diet. So I'll put that down below. Comment, let me know what you think. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more Beard of Knowledge. Cheers.